All right, shalom, and welcome to another Bible study that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in this body of Yahshua. My name is Esaac ben Israel, and I'm the elder priest of the United Congregation of Israel, and I'm joined here with Priest Mishael. Shalom, my brother.
Shalom, brother.
All right, so we are going to get into a few things tonight. A brother sent us a link, and I ended up watching some things on because we've often discussed about how the property, large amounts of property have been taken from our people here in this land. Part of the whole push to become, sharecroppers were, they were their own independent, owner operators, if you will. And after doing most of that, they began to, of course, they worked together. They saved all of those things, a lot of finances, and were able to purchase land. And then over time, the nation found a way to get that land out from under them. Especially a lot of the land ended up being in prime real estate. Prime real estate before they knew it was prime real estate. We ended up getting the things that other people either didn't want. Case in point, the swamp lands of Florida, the places in the Carolinas that are now all luxury houses. And when they decided that they wanted those things, of course, they found a way to get that land out of our people. One of the most disturbing things that I watched in the video was how land was given to people, and it ended up being under a designation called heirs property, which is something I had never even heard of. Partly because I ain't never inherited no land. So I guess that, didn't apply to me. I guess if you got the ass, you can't afford it. So, but what happened, here it is, you think that these people were left land. Okay, it's theirs. This system has a way of forcing the people who have their land designated as heirs property to divide up sections, force them to sell it, and there are, Gentile lawyers who became very proficient in it, that like 85% of their business came from taking the land that was left to so-called African Americans, making them, split up the land and buying pieces of it. And they kept breaking off pieces and pieces of the land until you own a certain percentage. Once they get up to, I think it's 20%, they can then force all kinds of things once they have that. So it is something that even the legacy that was left onto people because of the games that, this country has set up, it fell right in the hands of, their games. So when we consider what Yahweh has given us and the great things that our forefathers walked against, we really don't consider how great of a harm we did ourselves. Because even now, you hear people, this is where you get the racist comments, those people lazy, because, they'll come and say, why don't you have all of these things? And all of the things that, these descendants of these people who worked very hard, all of the things that they had was stolen from them. And I mean paperwork stolen from them, not robbed, and part of the documentary, you see this man who has his little trailer on his family land. He is self-sufficient. He is good. After these people come with this paperwork, he then has to jack up his trailer and move it to somewhere else because they're getting pieces and pieces of the property. When all of these descendants who are getting this property, they didn't set up all of these lines. They know, okay, you stay over here, I'll stay over here. But those people come with paperwork and completely changed the game. And it ended up forcing this guy where he had to move his trailer to somewhere, but the water was across the street. So he doesn't have access to the things that he had access to before. And none of them had even heard of any, designation of land that if you have it designated as this, then it's easier for the powers that be to come and take that. So I want to start in Numbers chapter 33. And, we really don't know how great the system that Yahweh had for us. We really don't understand how great it was. We don't really know the value of what we lost. Just like, when they are pushing these people out of these lands, it looks as though they're hood, because the same thing is happening in every major city now. They call it, gentrification. So it's supposed to be the hood. And when they come and drive the people out of the hood, the people don't think that they're losing much, because they say, hey, it's a crack house right there. It's a boarded up house next to that. It's trash down here. It's not worth that much. But one thing they always say when it comes down to any kind of property, location, location, location. They were in a prime real estate location, being in the city. And so all of the cities got to a point where they put together programs where all of these projects, what they call it, the ghettos, were in the inner city. They have completely knocked down all of those, turned them into luxury high rises or what have you. And then all of those people have been pushed out. Why? Because they were sitting in prime real estate. It doesn't matter about the so-called hood things that were happening. The real estate was prime. So part of allowing it to get bad was to drive the property value down. This would then help them buy all of it cheap. Then they come in and clean it up, and the property value skyrockets. So the people who were once there before will never be able to afford to get back into that area. It is a game that the daughter of Babylon has played over and over and over again without fail. And she has no reason to change it because it's working. Numbers 33, and let's start that at verse 50.
And Yahweh spake unto Moshe in the plains of Moab by Jordan near Jericho, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When you are passed over Jordan into the land of Canaan, then you shall drive out all the inhabitants of the land from before you, and destroy all their pictures.
Check this out, pictures. Why? Because these pictures, these images are going to lead you off into other things. We wouldn't even think that something like a picture is going to be an issue. But what does it portray? So if a single solitary still picture can influence your mind, what about that Hollywood production? Which, okay, a movie is called a what? Motion picture. We kind of forget that. That's what a movie is. It's a motion picture. It's a picture in motion. Because all that, the same way that they did the cartoons. They would draw one, the other one, the arm would move, the other one, the arm would move. So when you flip it, it looks like the person is moving. Mm-hmm. That's all they did to make a motion picture. So it kept going. He wants us in entering in, destroy all the pictures. Because you're going to have some problems with dealing with those images you're going to be coerced into doing all of those, whatever those worship practices, whatever those, it might not even be worship. It might be something that'll lead you to some other things. Mm-hmm. So the powers that be then, understanding Yahweh's culture, they know how powerful it is to give us images. So you can't get a record deal unless you already shot at least 2 people. And if you're a woman, I mean, you got to be down with trickology, or you're not getting a record deal there. So now all of the items that are being portrayed in front of us are of the same nature. But there's so many different kinds of music. Why does it have to be those types? Even if, people wanted to do that, it still should be a wide range of what is allowed. And you find out when people do, things of somewhat of a righteous nature, they won't get the same fanfare or the airplay that Murder, Death, Kill gets. Go ahead.
And destroy all their molten images and quite pluck down all their high places. Mm-hmm. And you shall dispossess the inhabitants of the land and dwell therein. For I have given you the land to possess it.
Now it's Yahweh's land, and Yahweh says, all right, I've given you the land to possess it. He also says, I didn't give you this for your righteousness. All right. I gave you this for the wickedness of the people who were there before. So don't think that, and it is important that Yahweh says that, because we get to the point where, especially when we're getting something that somehow, we have done something to deserve it. Like, we deserve this good land, so he has to let us know, no, not for your righteousness do I do all of these things, but for the wickedness of the people who were there before you. They had to get out of my land. Go ahead.
And you shall divide the land by lot for an inheritance among your families.
All right, so then the land is allotted among families. This is why the family structure is so important. But that is the very thing that is not promoted in our community. I've noticed that when they have any kind of commercial or something, and it's about the Hispanic community, you will see a strong family content in the commercials or even in the programs. With us, it will be an urban hood type movie or commercial. So it is very clear what they are promoting, and all we have to do, a lot of times, and I never do this now, I always used to watch the credits, but more so now because I got kids who like to watch it too. And you look at all of those names, on those credits, and you see who are the ones that are controlling how we see one another. So if Yahweh says destroy all their pictures, and we have another group of people who are controlling the pictures that we see, like, even if you go on the internet, somebody is controlling what pictures you see, because you don't get everything that you search for. See, I may search for something and then he searched for something, but something comes up different in my search than what comes up in his. Now, wait a minute. So then I got to ask him, hey man, how you get this? Well, I just searched on it. Well, I searched on it, it didn't come up. Somebody decided that no, anybody from that IP address, they don't need to see this here. They don't need they've been searching too much. See, they done searched a couple of things, they done found out something. I don't need them to find this out. So then it never comes up into my search. Thereby controlling which pictures I see. See, books can't be controlled like that. Once you get a book, you can go through that book whenever you want to. But we have gotten, hooked on the electronic sources, not really understanding that at the pulling of a plug, all of this electronic source is gone. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And to the more you shall give the more, inheritance, and to the fewer you shall give the less inheritance. Every man's inheritance shall be in the place where his lot falls. According to the tribes of your fathers, you shall inherit.
Now, if this is the Torah, and we have to say this because you're going to constantly hear, I'm Jewish through my mother. Land and inheritance goes through the lineage of the man. There is no such animal as Jewish through my mother. I don't care how many times you hear it. You have to program yourself that as soon as you hear it, trash. Soon as it comes in, trash. It is not, we're talking about the foundation of the Torah. And it's telling you directly through the lineage of a man. This is the way property. They had to even make a amendment to the law for the daughters of a man who did not have any sons, for them to inherit the land. And then whomever they married, it then went to them. So they had to direct, hey, they can't marry all over the place. They got to stay within a certain circle when they marry. That way, the land and property does not move outside of the tribe. Go ahead.
But if you will not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then it shall come to pass that those which you let remain of them shall be pricks in your eyes and thorns in your sides, and shall vex you in the land wherein you dwell. Moreover, it shall come to pass that I shall do unto you as I thought to do unto you.
Unto them. Now, consider, now we're going to slow down on verse 55, but if you will not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you. Because see, a lot of times we think that we're either doing something nice. Yahweh has already said, get rid of the pictures, get rid of all of that. I'm telling you, it's going to be a problem. But you know, we'll get to the point where, I don't want to totally destroy. I don't want to totally. So now we're renegotiating, what Yahweh has given us. Then it shall come to pass that those which you let remain, you let them stay there, knowing what was told to you, understanding that it was because of their wickedness that Yahweh was driving them out. They shall be pricks in your eyes and thorns in your sides. They are going to cause you absolutely nothing but trouble. And it's going to be on your own doing, because something in you said that Yahweh didn't fully know what he was talking about. These people are extra nice. And then they have a lineage that totally attacks all your children. So the next ones come up, and it says, and they will vex you in the land where you dwell. Then I shall do unto you as I thought to do unto them. So what happened? By not fully dealing with that situation, you then have inherited their curse. You have inherited their judgment. You have inherited their problem. Why? Because he said they're not supposed to be there. I said go in there and remove all of what was there. And let's go to Numbers 36 so we can get a few lines of what we were mentioning concerning the female heirs. Start that at verse 1.
And the chief fathers of the families of the children of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, of the families of the sons of Joseph, came near and spake before Moshe and before the princes, the chief fathers of the children of Israel. And they said, Yahweh commanded my master to give the land for an inheritance by lot to the children of Israel. And my master was commanded by Yahweh to give the inheritance of Zelophehad, our brother, unto his daughters. And if they be married to any of the sons of the other tribes of the children of Israel, then shall their inheritance be taken from the inheritance of our fathers, and shall be put to the inheritance of the tribe whereunto they are received.
So the women are received. The men receive the women. So anything that then belongs to them is then received unto that man. He said, whoa, 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 whoa. They can't marry anywhere. They have to go to a specific place. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem. So the entire concept of Jewish through my mother is absolutely blown to bits in two readings. Two readings, the entire, and we're talking about something that you can go from coast to coast and all over the world and mention, and they believe that it is real, a Jewish through my mother, and two readings in the Old Testament completely destroys it. Go ahead.
So shall it be taken from the lot of our inheritance. And when the jubilee of the children of Israel shall be, then shall their inheritance be put unto the inheritance of the tribe whereunto they are received.
Whereunto they are received. If somebody was Jewish through their mother and it was the main stay point, the women wouldn't be received. Go ahead.
So shall their inheritance be taken away from the inheritance of the tribe of our fathers.
Mm-hmm.
And Moshe commanded the children of Israel according to the word of Yahweh, saying, the tribe of the sons of Joseph has said well. This is the thing which Yahweh has commanded concerning the daughter of Zelophehad, saying, let them marry to whom they think best. Only to the family of the tribe of their father shall they marry.
All right, so let them marry to who they think best, but only to the family of the tribe of their father shall they marry. Verse 7, so shall not the inheritance of the children of Israel remove from tribe to tribe. For every one of the children of Israel shall keep himself to the inheritance of the tribe of his fathers. So Yahweh has a order that he is setting up. When he says, okay, he's going to give us this land, and then there must be some kind of ordinance about how we're going to deal with the land. Point blank, the children of Israel don't have law in Egypt. They don't have law in the wilderness. The bottom line is they're giving you the law when you get ready to go in the land. You know, you need to have something as to how you're going to govern yourself. You cannot govern yourself by what you think, feel, and believe. You cannot govern yourself based on what the next door neighbors do. You have to have some kind of unmovable statute that you're going to go by. And when you have that statute, you can apply that to each one of those situations. Otherwise, you're moving to what I think, what I feel, and what I believe. And all of those things are going to be very movable, because you believe this on one day, you're not going to believe that 4 days from now. You feel this way, you're not going to feel this way 1 year from now. Now, will you then look back on all of those decisions and realize that, oh, you made all these horrible decisions? Because then you're going to say, well, that's the way I felt, or that's the way I believed, or that. What is the statute concerning that? Because the statute is going to be your base for all of the decisions that you deal with. And having a people who come from captivity, they are not accustomed to being in charge of any of their own destiny. And this is what caused us so easily to have our properties stolen. You're talking about people who were not accustomed to being in charge of having their own thing. So then here comes Slick Willie with some paperwork, and now these things have been siphoned off from us. But you find generations of other groups who are accustomed to this. I mean, we can go back in our history books and find where not only were Gentiles given property, you know, the slaves were left them as inheritance. It was part of the estate. I gift my son John my 10 slaves over at the left house. What? So there's a reason why we don't understand a lot of the things about inheritance here in this country, because we were the inheritance. How much can the sofa know about where it's gonna be? So it was never designed. At first you think that it's just a thing. No, but it makes perfect sense. We were never supposed to understand that, because we were the items in the inheritance. The car don't tell you where it's gonna go. The house don't tell you who gonna live in it. Somebody in over the house. So by making sure that we didn't understand any of the inheritance rules, that made sure that we stayed in the place of the object that was transferred, not the entity that would be in charge of the transferred object. That was the game that was played on us. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 25. Because one of the things that is happening is a humongous land grab. It's interesting how, after a while you watch on TV and stuff just starts, dissipating. They don't talk about, all of the events anymore. But looking at not just the bombs and all of that is happening in Palestine, but all of the bulldozers. They say that they are making sure that they are keeping from terroristic activities. But the bulldozers are completely tearing up the streets. They're doing everything. We're talking a complete remake of land here. And the United Nations come out and say, they've said multiple things against, what's happening in Israel. They said, hey, Israel has created an unsafe environment, that what they're doing is, war crime, and then nothing happens. They just say it and something still happens the next day. But there is some connection to what that is. I want you to start at verse 8.
Verse 8. And you shall number 7 Sabbaths of years unto you, 7 times 7 years. And the space of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be unto you 49 years.
Now, if we go back a chapter or two, we'll see the same 7 times 7 that was in 49 when it says weeks. Mm-hmm. All right. So that week was those 7 days. 7 times 7 give you 49. The 50th day would be what they call Pentecost. I recently saw a post that a brother sent, and he was talking about a friend of his. I didn't get a chance to answer it, but he was talking about a friend of his who was newly acquired the Sabbaths through the lunar calendar, and they were very excited about their newfound direction. And with all of that, this is, the biggest part of where that doctrine is going to have some holes in it, because if you're going to do 7 times 7 within that lunar calendar, for us to keep those holy days, that 7 times 7 needs to be 49. So if you're going by that lunar calendar, how are you getting those 49 days and then the 50th being Pentecost? Then, of course, when we get to the same counting system of the Jubilee, we then have 7 Sabbaths of years. We don't have a year 0. We don't have a year that's not a year. You don't have any of that. So when you're dealing with any of the moving calendars or the moving Sabbath, you're going to have a problem with these set mathematical arrangements. The week is 7. It's not going to go and 1 week, it's going to be 8. And then 1 week is going to be 6. There's something seriously wrong with that count. And you're going to have a problem when you start getting to these days. And why is that even important? Especially when you talk about Jubilee. You're talking about a redemption. You're talking about a freedom. You're talking about receiving things that may have been taken away from you or removed away from you for a time. We're talking about you getting that back. It kind of matters if you're sitting there waiting on your stuff. If you think payday is Monday and it's actually Friday, one or two things have happened. That you already got paid and you didn't know it, or you thought you were going to get paid on Monday, so then you ticked off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you get paid Friday. You might not have no job by Friday because you done came in there nasty 4 days. Because you didn't understand when the payday was, and now you're upset because you had expectation. Well, this is expectation of freedom. You can't get no higher than that. Go ahead, brother.
Then shall you cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. In the day of atonement shall you make the trumpet sound throughout all your land. All
right, so then we are entering into our 7th month. We are about to, it first it starts with the Feast of Trumpets, which is the beginning, the new moon of that 7th month. Then 10 days after that is the Day of Atonement. So it's not a coincidence that Yahweh has all of this happening at the end of his holy days. So if you don't think it matters which one is 7, then you're not really understanding what's happening here. If 7 is the number of completion, then when we're getting to this point of this trumpet, this shofar blowing on the 7th month, now we're talking about the children of Israel move by the sound of the trumpet. The children of Israel gather by the sound of the trumpet. The children of Israel go to war by the sounding of the trumpet or the shofar. So when you talk about now, this is going to be a jubilee after all of these Sabbaths. Now you're going to have a special Sabbath. This is going to be a special one here when we start talking about those 7 Sabbaths of years being complete and then entering into that 50th year. And we'll see it on commercials all the time. People will say, the companies will say, it's our Jubilee, it's our 50th year. And, what is normally the big birthday party? The Jubilee, the 50th. That's the one, all right? Because typically, that should have been the one where all of us were retired. Now, because of the games that the daughter of Babylon plays, Social Security, retirement, all of that keeps getting pushed back further and further and further so that we can work longer and longer and longer. But the whole part of 50 is it meant a lot earlier because, hey, after 20 years of somewhere, you were retired. So you can get a job if you jump right out, got a job, 20 years old, worked till you were 40, you got retirement. Oh, those days gone. They've completely altered that. And even to get your Social Security that you have worked for keeps being pushed back further and further. That's the way this game is being set up, so that the majority of people who are putting into the system will die and never get their return that they have put into that system. All of the things that they are putting in then is set to protect some other people and take care of some other people, since they won't live long enough to actually get any of it. Go ahead.
And you shall and you shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and you shall return every man unto his possession, and you shall return every man unto his family.
If you shall return every man unto his possession, every man gets to go back to his land. Everybody has family land. There should be, Yahweh says, okay, there shall always be the poor among you. When we think poor, we think homeless. No. There will always be poor among us. There should never be homeless among us. There should have never been, under our system, under the system that our Elohim gave us, that we so heartily walked against, we would never be homeless. And what happens to us, the biggest problem we have is trying to make rent, trying to pay a mortgage. It'll cause us to be angry at one another. Hey man, hey man, where your part at? Because this is what we got to do to survive. Yahweh said, I already had you. In a land, we would never have had the mortgage. We would never have had the rent. All of that was already taken care of. And the Jubilee matters because you're going to be returned unto that. See, the land is never fully sold, even when you sell it. What happens in Yahweh's land, he says the land is mine. So somebody is only buying the use of that land until Jubilee. They're never buying the land. So we have gotten tricked out of all of our possessions so many times. But the way things are set up according to Yahweh, nobody will ever buy the land per se. Certain things have to happen for them to have that land permanently, because the land has to stay in that tribe. It has to stay in that family. Go ahead.
A jubilee shall that 50th year be unto you. You shall not sow neither reap that which grow of itself in it, nor gather the grapes in it of your vine undressed. For it is the jubilee. It shall be holy unto you. You shall eat the increase thereof out of the field. In the year of this jubilee you shall return every man unto his possession. And if you sell aught unto your neighbor, or buy aught of your neighbor's hand, you shall not oppress one another. According to the number of years after the jubilee you shall buy of your neighbor, and according unto the number of years of the fruits he shall sell unto you. According to the multitude of years you shall increase the price thereof, and according to the fewness of years you shall diminish the price of it. For according to the number of years of the fruits does he sell unto you.
Right. He's only selling unto you according to, as the Jubilee, how many years there is going to be to the Jubilee. That is the only time of that sale. After that, that sale is over. It goes back to that individual. So we really have to understand what great problem we caused ourselves. Jump down to verse 23.
The land shall not be sold forever.
The land shall not be sold forever. So even though when somebody say they buying some land in Israel, you renting. Because the land belongs to Yahweh. Go ahead.
For the land is mine, for you are strangers and sojourners with me.
Wait a minute. We're quick to say, this is mine. He said, wait a minute, you stranger. He talking about this mine. Do we even consider when we have something, we start calling in a minute, this is my stuff. Y'all like, no. You kind of on my planet. So since you like on my planet, that's my car. No, Yahweh, I'll pay for the car. Brother, that's my car. I'll let you drive my car. This is why it throws us that once we get off and decide that we're not going to do things the way Yahweh wants to do things, and then we're thrown when he takes something from us. And we say, he done took my stuff. No. It was his stuff to start with. It's like when your kids come and tell you, hey, Dad, I found $20. You can't find $20 in my house. You ain't find no $20. That $20 already belongs to somebody. Yeah. The El Capitan. All right? You ain't found that here. So you can't tell him, and that's the concept that we're not really understanding, that it all belongs to him. He's just allowing us to use it. That's all that is. So when we kind of get beside ourselves, this is what got us kicked out of the land. Mm-hmm. He says, okay, you have the land. We like, yes, we got land. We got land named after our own name. Yes. And then got beside ourselves. Mm-hmm. And he said, you know what? Get out of my land. I thought you said it was mine. It wasn't. As long as you did what I told you. But you didn't do that. But how Yahweh has a forever plan, says, okay, I'm evicting you. And after, a few generations, I'm gonna bring your kids back. So essentially, the land still stays in your family, but can't none of y'all access it because of your disobedience. But the land's still yours. Matter of fact, I'll let you drive by there and look at it. But you can't go in. Not until you finish the punishment. See, if we understood things like that, it's because we get so possessive with everything and we count it. Once we get our hands on it, it's ours. And then we don't think we really have to maintain it. We don't think we have to do anything to keep it right. It's ours. We do what we want to do with it. Until Yahweh reminds you that it's his. So that needs to be one of the thought processes that we, alter so that we can maintain. Because at the end of the day, if you can drive a Bentley every day for the rest of your life, why the hell it matter whose name is in? If you could drive a Ferrari every day for the rest of your life, why the hell does it matter whose name is in? If you could live in a mansion every day for the rest of your life, why does it matter whose name is in? So that needs to be the thought process. Keep reading, brother.
And in all the land of your possession you shall grant a redemption for the land. If your brother be waxen poor and has sold away some of his possession, and if any of his kin come to redeem it, then shall he redeem that which his brother sold. Mm-hmm. And if the man have none to redeem it, and himself be able to redeem it, then let him count the years of the sale thereof.
So what was supposed to happen anytime they took family land? They were supposed to, hey, all right, gather around here with the family. All right, y'all have an opportunity to redeem this. They don't give us those opportunities. They'll call other people and have a public sale, mm-hmm. or maybe even a private sale. Because part of the documentary that I watched, the only person that was in that bidding was one man. He getting acreage of land for $1,200. He says, call the next of kin have the right. There are times that, family land is lost and the people didn't know nothing about it. The rest of the family didn't know nothing about it. They found out the hard way that the land don't belong to the family anymore. None of that exists in Yahweh's system if we walk accordingly. None of it exists. Now, one of the parts that's making this so interesting is you look at the nation land grab. that's going on. So, we have that on a regular level, okay? But then you have two major land grabs that are happening right now before us. We have the Russia and the Ukraine situation, and we have Israel and Palestine. And there are two situations where the people are saying, this land is mine. I'm whatever on it, I'm blowing it up. And I want this land. Now, what gets interesting is when you start looking at the intricacies of how that fits into America's plan. I want you to go to Jeremiah 22 for me. Jeremiah 22, and start that at verse 11.
For thus said Yahweh, touching Shalom, the son of Josiah, king of Yehuda, which reigned instead of Josiah his father, which went forth out of this place. He shall not return thither any more, but he shall die in the place whither they have led him captive, and shall see this land no more.
So one of the punishments, if you get right down to Deuteronomy 28, Yahweh has given us all of these curses and blessings. All right? The blessings if we follow what was given unto us, curses if we didn't. And you can see the large contrast between whether we do right or whether we don't perform correctly. Keep going.
Woe unto him that build his house by unrighteousness and his chambers by wrong, that use his neighbor's service without wages and give him not for his work.
So then there's automatically a woe commanded on anybody who has done that. Well, we know that America was built off of that. We know that America was built off unpaid labor. And then they declare strongly that they are not paying any reparations. Now, they'll pay reparations for every other ethnic group, but not the so-called African American. So they have stood to that they are not paying for that labor. And we also see a violation of the Jubilee as well. In 50 years, it says every man must be returned unto his possession. So you have to look and see how many of these things then are mounting against this nation. Keep going.
That said, I will build me a wide house and large chambers, and cut it him out windows, and it is sealed with cedar and painted with vermilion.
All right, sealed with cedar. When you get houses built just of certain trees, bugs won't touch it. These things will stand forever almost. And we're talking about certain types of wood. That's why you can go and find plantation houses and they're still standing. Mm-hmm. And you're like, why that plantation house still there? What you think it's built out of? Go ahead.
Shall you reign because you clothe yourself in cedar? Did not your fathers eat and drink and do judgment and justice, and then it was well with him? Right.
It was not well with our ancestors because they clothed themselves in cedar. It was well because they walked in the judgments, the statutes that were given unto us. Yeah. And every statute and judgment is not going to be comfortable. But you got to think past the comfortable part of right now and think about the comfortableness of the entire nation. Do we get caught on our discomfort for 1 minute and then realize that you have punished the next couple generations after you? Go ahead.
He judged the cause of the poor and the needy, then it was well with him.
He judged the cause of the poor and needy, and then it was well with him. See, dealing with the ordinances that Yahweh has given unto us, and situation and circumstances is going to come up, and Yahweh is going to look at, so let me see how you dealt with that. Go ahead.
Was not this to know me, said Yahweh?
Wait a minute. You have people, you know, and this is that thing, you'll see it. Do you know the Lord?
Dang.
Pardon me, brother. Brother, can I talk to you? Okay. Verse 16. He judged the cause of the poor and needy. Then it was well with him. Was not this to know me? Now, go back to something that Yahshua says. Many are going to come up and say, Lord, Lord, haven't we done all these wonderful works in your name? And he says, get away from me, you worker of lawlessness. I never knew you. Wait a minute. He said, was not this to know me? He's not looking at, you know, how we're going to dress and all of the things that we present in public. No. He's going to look at those things. And this is where he's going to say, get away from me, you worker of lawlessness. I never knew you. You think about it, he said, I never knew you. Why would you say you never knew him? Because I looked at their ways. I had given them ordinances. I showed them how to deal with the poor, the needy. I taught them how to deal with their neighbor. They didn't deal with any of that. So I never knew them. Now think about it. We got people walking around calling on Yahweh's name. We got people doing all of these things. And he says, I never knew you. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Because now, remember, we talked about not too long ago how all of a sudden, all the Sunday churches are using the name of Yahweh and Yahshua. The very things that they said we were in a cult for. Now they all use, and I'm talking the biggest congregations, now use the same names that we're using. But does Yahweh know them? He's not going to come back to because you can say the name. He's not going to say, oh, you know me because you know my name. No. Do you know my name? Okay. Did you judge the cause of the poor and needy? Did you plead for the widow? Did you execute righteousness in your gate? When you saw your brother in need, did you deal with it? Or did your hand turn cold to your brother or your sister? How did you deal with that? He said, if not, I don't know you. I don't care how many times you tell me my name. I told you Yahweh will not be mocked. So all of these people can try to fool Yahweh if they want by all of a sudden everybody know his name. And the thing is, they always knew his name. Half the time in the middle of those songs, they screamed out hallelujah. You ask one of them mothers up there and they'll tell you, yeah, baby, that's God's name. Well, why that dude up there don't say nothing about it? So then that means there were private discussions about what the correct name was. But there was no public announcement about it. Go ahead.
But your eyes and your heart are not but for your covetousness.
Now, this is where this could get interesting. Your eyes and your heart are not but for your covetousness. Now, you see, we can actually get tricked into that. How? When he says, I've given you a vineyard, but you're not to glean all of your vineyard. Now, what if you said, no, all I've ever done is stayed in my land. And Yahweh said, you covetous. How you going to tell me I'm covetous? I ain't went outside my land. But Yahweh said, but all the land wasn't yours. I told you not to glean the field. I told you that certain parts of the field were for the poor. This is confusing because you can be dealing with just your stuff and Yahweh can accuse you of covetousness.
Damn.
Ain't that scary?
Yeah.
And you swear down, you 110% right. we know his law like we know it. We have to understand that we don't know his law like he knows it. And sometimes you have to step back and examine something a little bit. Will he come at you and say, you know what, you didn't judge the cause of the poor and needy? No, I never went outside my land. I kept everything in my land good. Right. But I told you that part of what was given to you wasn't all yours. Go ahead, Priest. You got something there?
Yeah, Elder, when we look at this whole situation of covetousness, and like you're mentioning how they're now using the name of Yahshua and Yahweh on a normal basis, we can't see that eventually the covetousness is going to come from the church where they're going to covet the name as if they've got something, but yet are not going to do any of the things, the justice and the judgment. Now looking down upon us because now we know the name. Right.
That is an amazing point, brother. Thank you for that. And you're exactly right. Now, because think about what we done heard before. We conquered it for Jesus. Wait a minute. You conquered the name of Yahshua for Jesus? Now that you can't get no deeper than that. You gonna conquer the real name for the fake name? But then once, they have it, a $1 gajillion is going to be made. They're going to have cups, banners, book holders, everything, all making merchandise of a name that they have absolutely avoided for several hundred years. And Yahweh and Yahshua is not going to be fooled. He will not be mocked. Okay? But for a time, they won't even notice the covetousness. When you get accustomed to covetous, you don't know that that's what it is. You don't know that you're being covetous. Because it's normal. Like you take a kid who has grown up, an only kid. That kid has no idea. That's normal to that kid. That kid has never had to share. That kid has never had to deal with anything outside of whatever it wanted, the time it wanted, the way it wanted, how much. All of that was always there available for that kid. The minute you change those circumstances, the kid thinks he's robbed. Why? Because he's gotten accustomed to everything that he sees is his. And the minute there's any kind of, all right, we're going to bring this, we're going to, your cousin's going to come over and they're going to play, no, they ain't playing with this. They ain't going to play with these, right? They have to bring their own toys. Man, you got a basement and an attic full of toys. Well, and if they bring some, now all this here, this mine right here. Ain't nobody playing with these. Why? Because the mind has already gotten accustomed to everything I see is mine and I don't have to share any of that. And if they haven't gone through these things, this is what the holy days are about. We are getting practice and dealing with concepts so that when it comes time to actually deal with the concept, we have something to relate to. So when you talk about, it says on that seventh month, you're gonna have this atonement. You then have an opportunity of denying your flesh. You have an opportunity to deny yourself for 24 hours, and you learn something every time you do that. But Yahweh is dealing with something bigger than what we see on the surface. Go ahead, brother.
And for to shed innocent blood, and for oppression and for violence to do it.
And that is a problem. So woe to him that builds his house by unrighteousness. Now, I want you to go to Deuteronomy 28, and I want to read a few things. So, and this is, of course, dealing with the many parts of the curses if we didn't. And, you have to look at the comparing and contrasting that happens. Start that at verse 35. I just want to read a few verses here. 35.
Yahweh shall smite you in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed, from the sole of your foot unto the top of your head.
Now understand, there's certain things that we would look at and not even understand. This is a part of our judgment. Go ahead.
Yahweh shall bring you and your king, which you shall set over you, unto a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known, and there shall you serve other gods, wood and stone.
This lets you know that the true children of Israel are not going to have any connection right away with who their ancestors are. The children of Israel ain't going to be able to tell you, well, we have 14 generations that's been speaking Hebrew. That's what the book says. So when people start running off all of this, that, and the third about how much they have connection to the culture, that just pretty much tell me that you are not the people who have gone through this diaspora. And that might be why we have to keep being presented with how oppressed people are, even though we don't see the oppression. We don't witness it. We just hear that it has happened. But it's very, very easy for us to see our oppression. Go ahead.
And you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither Yahweh shall lead you.
Now, if you have assumed the identity of somebody and these problems are supposed to happen to them, you know that you have to present this as though it happened to you, right? You know you don't have a choice, right? You can't say that you are these people, but you can't present. So you have to say that somebody did something. Go ahead.
You shall carry much seed out into the field, and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. You shall plant vineyards and dress them, but shall neither drink of the wine, nor gather the grapes, for worms shall eat them. You shall have olive trees throughout all the coasts, but you shall not anoint yourself with the oil, for your olive shall cast his fruit.
Right. Somebody else is going to take the fruit. You're going to do all of this work. And it is hard to take a look at anything in the daughter of Babylon that we have built that we still have access to. We have built so many things, but we don't have access to the items, the businesses, the funding. We don't have access to any of that stuff. But we built it. It was built off our backs. Go ahead.
You shall beget sons and daughters, but you shall not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. And your trees and fruit of the land shall the locusts consume.
All right, so just going into the planting of vineyards and dressing them, but you shall neither drink of the wine. I want you to go to Joshua chapter 24. So just with that in mind, so when we even we look at Moshe is bringing the children of Israel, does not get to fully bring them. Joshua or Yahshua then brings the children of Israel, and they are being set in motion here. So Joshua 24, start this at verse 1.
And Yahshua gathered all the tribes of Israel to Shechem, and called for the elders of Israel, and for their heads, and for their judges, and for their officers, and they presented themselves before Elohim.
So there's order in what's going to happen, and he called for the elders of Israel, for their heads, for their judges, their officers, and they presented themselves before Elohim. If it was a regular business, they had a managers meeting. All the managers came in for the meeting. No. Y'all will tell the people when it's their time. All the managers come in here. Go ahead.
And Yahshua said unto all the people, Thus said Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, your fathers dwelt on the other side of the flood in old time, even Terah, the father of the father of Abraham, and the father of Nahor, and they served other gods.
They served other gods. Okay? So there are times that we may look at something and we think that, it may be a little harsh. But Yahweh needed to separate Abram from Terah. Hey man, your father served other gods. And if I let you bring that, then you're going to be emboldened to deal with those things that your father dealt with. This is one reason why I don't want you to bring your nephew. I don't want you to bring these people because they are going to help you sin against me. Go ahead.
And I took your father Abraham from the other side of the flood and led him throughout all the land of Canaan and multiplied his seed and gave him Esaac. And I gave unto Esaac Jacob and Esau. And I gave unto Esau Mount Seir to possess it. But Jacob and his children went down into Egypt. I sent Moshe also and Aaron, and I plagued Egypt according to that which I did among them. And afterward I brought you out, and I brought your fathers out of Egypt, and you came unto the sea, and the Egyptians pursued after your fathers with chariots and horsemen unto the Red Sea. And when they cried unto Yahweh, he put darkness between you and the Egyptians, and brought the sea upon them and covered them. And your eyes have seen what I have done in Egypt, and you dwelt in the wilderness a long season. I brought you into the land of the Amorites, which dwelt on the other side of Jordan, and they fought with you. And I gave them into your hand that you might possess their land, and I destroyed them from before you. Then Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, arose and warred against Israel, and sent and called Balaam, the son of Behor, to curse you. But I will not hearken unto Balaam. Therefore he blessed you still. So I delivered you out of his hand, and you went over Jordan and came unto Jericho, and the men of Jericho fought against you. And the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, and I delivered them into your hand.
I delivered all of them into your hand. Each one of them came. I sent you. What the whole point of the matter, Yahweh was sending Israel to execute his judgment. That's why we couldn't turn to the left nor to the right. This is why you didn't have a choice in deciding, you know what? How about we save, this group right here? No. They have already had their grace period. Their grace period has ran out. You don't get any negotiation. Their grace period, I already had my grace period. Don't try to negotiate for them. I already gave them negotiation, and when I gave them, they were too stiff-necked to deal with it. We really have to ask ourselves, what would have happened with us if the Canaanites had actually repented and stayed, and Canaan land stayed Canaan land? If it never became Israel. Go ahead.
And I sent the hornet before you, which drove them out from before you, even the two kings of the Amorites, but not with your sword, nor with your bow.
Right. We have to make sure that when it comes down to Yahweh orchestrating what he wants to orchestrate, we have to make sure that we don't limit how he's able to do that. He said, I sent the hornet before you. A lot of times we're trying to figure out, Yahweh, I don't see this being possible. Yahweh, I don't see this being possible. It is so interesting. The people who say that Yahweh is omnipotent, he's omnipresent, he has all of this power, but they say it's not possible to bring forth a baby without a man and a woman being together. How you bring a man out the dirt? So we believe on this hand, but we have disbelief on the other. I believe Yahweh will do this, but I don't believe that he will do that. So we have belief and disbelief with us continually. One on one hand, one on the other. Go ahead.
And I have given you a land for which you did not labor, and the cities which you built not, and you dwell in them. Of the vineyards and olive yards which you planted not, do you eat?
Now, I look at the large contrast between the curse of Deuteronomy 28. You are going to plant vineyards and not get the wine. You are going to have olive trees and not anoint yourself with the oil. But that has to be the punishment. Why? Because this is how you went in. I have given you a land for which you did not labor, and cities which you built not. And you dwell in them. Of the vineyards and the olive yards which you planted not, do you eat. So what has to be the judgment if you don't do what he said? You already got free stuff. He had no choice but to give us a curse. He had already gave you a blessing. You walked in the blessing. But then you didn't appreciate the blessing. So he has no choice but to do these things. Now, we will hear the covenant and not even understand the various parts of the covenant. We up there. I do. Do Israel? Yeah, I do. All the things you have said, Yahweh, will we do? Then when punishment comes, Yahweh, why are you so unfair? Did you agree to this?
Yep.
Didn't we have a discussion about, okay, this is what this is? Yep, we understand the rules of your land. We all that Yahweh have spoken will we do. So we have no choice but to deal in those curses. Keep reading for me, brother.
Now therefore fear Yahweh and serve him in sincerity and in truth.
So he already asked that right off the rip. Serve me in truth and in spirit. To worship Yahweh with your whole heart. He's declaring that, but he given us already. And one thing we done known about, brother, you got to be careful giving us the stuff before we do the work. Now, all right, now look here, I'm going to pay you. Boy, you don't know what you going to get. If you turn around, you pay us. And say, all right, now you're going to be back on Tuesday to start the work, right? Right? You got to say right by 8 times. Man, I done told you, man, look, now I'm giving you this money. You know, things get strange. Well, Yahweh like, look, I'm giving you houses, vineyards, olive trees. All right? Now, if you don't do what I'm telling you now, I'm trying to tell you, you got stuff that you didn't plant. Guess what I'm going to do to you? I'm going to make you plant stuff that you don't eat. Man, you can't get nowhere. You talking about, that is the absolute opposite. I gave you something you didn't work for. But if you don't deal with it right, I'm going to make you work for something that you ain't going to get.
Wow.
Come on, bro.
I mean, he deal with that right now. Like we always say about how he lets us go through what he went through. It's like, with your children, you give them stuff. It's not appreciated as much as when they buy the same thing.
You got it. Sometimes they got to buy it, tear it up, and buy it again. And then they understand, because, they ain't got kind of custom to tearing up the stuff you gave them. And somehow it miraculously always show back up. But when they have to deal with it once, because they already better with their stuff, but when they got to actually see what carelessness or whatever, what that does and how much they got to go through to set it back up, all of a sudden, boom, it's seared in now. Now all of a sudden they remember, hey, you know, my dad said, don't do this like this. Hey, cause now they think about, wait a minute. You know, my mama said, wait a minute, don't you do this like this. Well, before I never really had to deal with it. But once they have to deal with it and have to deal with it on their own, now all those other things that they were like, get out of here, ain't nobody listening to that. Once they have to rebuild that, then it sinks in, and now all of that instruction that you thought they didn't hear, they just didn't receive it. They heard it. Then now they can start receiving it. And you ain't even got to say it again. They're receiving it because they're remembering, you know what? My memory is coming back to me. You know, but that's when visitation, you know, and that's the same thing that it says about the word. Have your conversation honest among the Gentiles, whereby upon the day of visitation, they will glorify your Father. You didn't have to go back and talk to them. You didn't have to go back and talk to them. What only thing that's missing is a visitation. That's what most of us are missing. Well, half the time we'll be like, I don't remember such and such. Oh, don't worry. Yahweh has a memory inducer. The right situation and circumstance happen, you know my memory is back to me now. Right? Ain't nobody going to have to come back. He going to jar your memory and you going to make changes or you going to suffer loss. Simple as that. Go ahead.
And put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood and in Egypt, and serve you Yahweh. And if it seem evil unto you to serve Yahweh, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh.
Right. Now, you'll see these things be on signs all over. But for me and my house, it sounds all, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's all regal. But for me and my house, we will serve. And, of course, they put it just like it is here, the Lord. You know? But there's the saying of that. And then there's the application of that. Okay? It's one thing to say you're going to serve Yahweh. But then when it comes down to what he may ordain for us or what he has set up, all right, this is the Sabbath. Well, you know, I'm going to serve you, but, I make my best money on this. Oh, okay. So, yeah, you going to serve as long as it suits you. Then, so there's a different level of servitude. How far? Where is the bump in the road for us? Is the question that we all have to ask. Go ahead.
And the people answered and said, Elohim forbid that we shall forsake Yahweh to serve other gods. For Yahweh our Elohim, He it is that brought us up and our fathers out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage, and which did those great signs in our sight, and preserve us in all the way wherein we went, and among all the people through whom we passed.
Now, part of how you know this, because he pushes Israel to do things that Israel can't do. See, if we actually did things that we believed that we could do, then the glory goes to us. We are then going to believe that we have done it with our hands. But when he gives you something that you can't afford, you know it was him. When he causes you to win a battle and you know, man, I can't fight as good as that guy. But you won the fight. But this guy is like an amazing fighter. But you won a fight. that you ain't supposed to win. You got a car you ain't supposed to have. You got a house you ain't supposed to have. But if you actually believe that you can do it on your own, then you won't believe even if Yahweh does it for you. Because you will say, I did this. So he loves the impossible. Saying, oh, no. This don't even make any sense. Go ahead.
Yahweh drave out from before us all the people, even the Amorites which dwelt in the land. Therefore will we also serve Yahweh, for he is our Elohim. And Yahshua said unto the people, you cannot serve Yahweh, for he is an holy Elohim. He is a jealous Elohim. He will not forgive your transgression nor your sins. For you forsake Yahweh, if you forsake Yahweh and serve strange gods, then he will turn and do you hurt and consume you. After that he has done you good.
Now, that's going to be even more detrimental right there. If you forsake Yahweh and serve strange gods, this is why you have to be careful when people ask you to pray for them. Because at this point, they have received the blessing. All right. Now, if you forsake Yahweh after he has already done something for you and decide that you are going to go and worship strange gods, then he is going to turn and do you hurt and consume you after he done you good. What does the word say? It says, when the evil spirit is gone out of a man, and it goes seeking for places and it finds none and returns back, the state of that man is worse than it was before. He said, no. If you, after he has done it, here it is. We don't understand what we're getting ourselves into. He said, all right, now I have done you good. I've given you things that you should not have had. But I'm telling you now, if you go against me, you're going to have some problems. And it's all in the covenant. Because he's given us things that we didn't build. What's the punishment? You're going to have to build stuff that you ain't going to get. Go ahead.
And the people said unto Yahshua, nay, but we will serve Yahweh. And Yahshua said unto the people, you are witnesses against yourselves that you have chosen you, Yahweh, to serve him. And they said, we are witnesses.
And if you understand just the whole part of the covenant, it makes sense why we would be worker bees and have done all of these things but still don't have access to it. And it doesn't make sense that there are other people who call themselves Israel who possess everything, and we don't see any labor of any kind. It doesn't make sense. Okay, go ahead.
Now therefore put away, said he, the strange gods which are among you, and incline your heart unto Yahweh Elohim of Israel. And the people said unto Yahshua, Yahweh our Elohim will we serve, and his voice will we obey. So Yahshua made a covenant with the people that day, and set them a statute and an ordinance in Shechem. And Yahshua wrote these words in the book of the law of Elohim, and took a great stone and set it up there under an oak that was by the sanctuary of Yahweh. And Yahshua said unto all the people, behold, this stone shall be a witness unto us, for it has heard all the words of Yahweh which he spake unto us. It shall be therefore a witness unto you, lest you deny your Elohim. So Yahshua let the people depart, every man unto his inheritance.
Every man unto his inheritance. That means every man has now gone unto his own land that has been allotted unto him. But let me go ahead and talk to y'all now before you go. All right, let me go ahead, give y'all this instruction, explain what we're dealing with. All right, everybody understand? All right, go ahead and go to your land. So at the end of the day, I understand now we're charged with passing that understanding on to our offspring. Because understand, he's making it known. All right, this is what it is. Now go get the land. Now, it is all of their jobs to make sure Each generation knows that. Each generation knows it and walks in it. Because Yahweh is going to speak to Israel as if it was one man. Israel, why have you disobeyed me? Now, if Yahweh is going to speak to Israel as one man, that means he's holding all of us collectively responsible for our actions as a whole. So that whole part where we like to be neutral and say, you know what, I don't really have anything to do with that. He says, did you execute the judgment of the poor and needy? What if that's not you and you're standing by? In our land, you're going to be expected to go get in there. Hey, y'all, what's happening over here? But the daughter of Babylon has taught us the exact opposite. And that's why we're going to have to severely unlearn some thought processes that we have gotten. Because at the end of the day, you have to ask, how long is this experiment of democracy actually going to last? Right now, America is funding 2 Jewish wars. Zelensky is Jewish. Okay? So the money is going to pay for that. And what's interesting is both of the parties say the same thing, and all downright disrespectful. We could hurry up and win this thing if y'all hurry up and send the money. Netanyahu said it, and Zelensky says a similar thing. So you have 2 little bitty countries, if you will, telling the big bully that they need to hurry up and send the money so that they can win this altercation. And it's something that's really strange about that. Let's go to I want to go to Jeremiah 51 first. Jeremiah 51 and start at verse 5.
For Israel has not been forsaken, nor Yehuda of his Elohim, of Yahweh of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her lawlessness, for this is the time of Yahweh vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad.
Therefore the nations are mad because they've drunk of her wine. At this point, the dollar is the currency that oil is purchased in. So all the nations have to deal with it. But they making changes. Go ahead.
Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so be she may be healed. We will have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies.
This is where Yahshua blows that Jubilee trumpet, that Jubilee that we talked about. And when that Jubilee trumpet blows, every man returns unto his possession. So there are items that you're going to read, and you have to know to connect them to the portion in the law that is dealing with. Let every man flee to his own country. When the trumpet blows, this is what sets forth the Jubilee. You must return everyone to their possession. Their possession is their land. Now, all of these people are leaving Babylon and going back to their own land. Everybody who came there of their own accord. Now, the people who did not come on their own accord, they have a different issue. Yahweh has to deal with those people. Go ahead.
Yahweh has brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of Yahweh our Elohim. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahweh has raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes.
The Medes are the Russians. So one of the Jewish wars that America is funding is Ukraine against Russia. So you are funding at this point a Jewish war against the Medes. Very interesting. So much, in fact, that the people are asking, their latest request is, we need you to give us the long-range weaponry so that we can shoot in the interior of Russia. What? This is their latest request. Now, if you hurry up and give us these long-range missiles, we can go ahead and take care of this business. That's interesting, because Netanyahu said the same thing. Mm-hmm. So you have two Jewish individuals who walk in here and walk out with billions every time they walk out. They walk out with billions and military equipment. And when he's talking about the destruction of Babylon, he says, wake up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. Now, I don't know how fast, you wake up somebody, you knock on their door pretty hard, you wake them up and you'll startle them. You shoot a long range missile in there, oh, you gonna wake up. Oh, you gonna wake them up, all right. And now I don't know if you ready for what they're gonna do when they get up. Mm-hmm. See? Go ahead, keep reading.
For his device is against Babylon, to destroy it, because it is vengeance of Yahweh, the vengeance of his temple.
The vengeance of his temple. Wait a minute. The vengeance of Yahweh's temple, he wants to destroy Babylon. He uses the Medes. It was a Khrushchev that beat on that table and said, it was given to us by prophecy, we will destroy you. That was a Mede. That was a Russian. Now, he was speaking at the United Nations to America. So these people understand some part about prophecy, saying he's going to have vengeance of his temple. Wait a minute. Vengeance of his temple. We got to start backing back. Wait a minute. Are these the same people then? Are these the same people that orchestrated what? America is descended from the Europeans. It was the Europeans who sent the people over there. And we're going to see that as we start reading, and it goes from Babylon, and then it drops down, and he all of a sudden starts referring to her as the daughter of Babylon. Go ahead.
Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen. Prepare the ambushes for Yahweh. Has both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. O you that dwells upon many waters, abundant in treasures, your end is come, and the measure of your covetousness.
The measure of your covetousness. O you that dwells upon many waters. When you talk about Babylon, the mother, she dwells upon many waters. She has this new king has over 50 crowns. They have all the stuff you keep hearing, the Commonwealth. The crown owns all of that. So she has control in many places, not just where she sits. Go ahead.
It's funny you said that. I didn't really get into the article, but it's Britain. They sent out a thing where they're recruiting all soldiers, and mainly like black soldiers from all these Commonwealth places, and like the Commonwealth country in Africa, the Caribbean, and wherever she have her her input at.
Right.
But it's funny that you're saying that, though.
And look, you know, a lot of times we don't look and see that all of those places, if it's under the Commonwealth, you under the crown. You can say you this, that, and the third, but you know the new king controls you and your land.
Yep.
You know, so and the king owns everything. That's the part that we don't get. The king owns everything. Nobody really owns anything. The king owns everything. Now, you can have a king of man who owns everything and let you use it. Or you can have King Yahweh own everything and let you use it. Which one of them you want to be your king? Go ahead.
And Yahweh of hosts has sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill you with men, as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against you. He has made the earth by his power. He has established the world by his wisdom, and has stretched out the heaven by his understanding. When he uttered his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causeth the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He maketh lightning and rain, and bringeth forth the wind out of his treasures.
Jump to verse 19.
The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is...
They're not like us.
Song.
Go ahead.
For he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Yahweh of hosts is his name. You are my battle axe and weapons of war.
You are my battle axe and weapons of war. Go ahead.
For with you will I break in pieces the nations, and with you will I destroy kingdoms.
Right. So Israel got a job to do. They ain't just walking around talking about we in this tribe or we in that tribe. No. Israel got a job to do. Go ahead.
And with you will I break in pieces the house of his
The horse and his rider.
the horse and his riders. And with you will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With you also will I break in pieces man and woman. And with you will I break in pieces old and young. And with you will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with you the shepherd and his flock. And with you will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen. And with you will I break in pieces captains and rulers. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion and your sight, said Yahweh.
Right. When we even deal with Babylon, it was this great image. It went down into kingdoms. We are still dealing with Babylon, and people think that they'll try to push that to Iraq, the beginning part of that, and you have completely limited that and not accepted that whole vision of what Babylon is. Go ahead.
Behold, I am against you, O destroying mountain, said Yahweh, which destroys all the earth.
And Iraq ain't destroyed all the earth. Go ahead.
And I will stretch out my hand upon you and roll you down from the rocks and will make you a burnt mountain. And they shall not take of you a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations, but you shall be desolate forever, said Yahweh.
Right. When something has nuclear fallout, oh, they don't get nothing from that. They don't even go get rocks from it. Russia had an accident and they just walled the whole thing up and just let everything grow, and the animals just took over the area. They don't even go over there. Generations, the radiation is still ever present. And that was a mistake. Imagine what happened when you mean to send a nuclear weapon. What happens? The fallout is horrible. Ain't nothing living over there where the radiation goes. And All you have to do is, if a nuclear power plant loses power, I don't think the reactor can never get out of whack. If it gets too hot, if it doesn't, it's a done deal. Mm-hmm. Everything around it is dying. Now, if you have multiple of these, and all of a sudden you can't maintain it, nuclear power is one of the things that it's like, all right, we're going to cut this on. But once you cut it on, it's going to be on forever. It can never go off. Ever. You think about something that you're going to do that you can't never stop. Ever. Like, I'm going to go to sleep. Well, then who are you going to get to watch this? Because somebody got to watch this when you close your eyes. No, you don't understand. When we said never, we mean never. Like, ain't no shutdown, ain't no close. You can't never take your eyes off of that. What happened when ain't nobody to watch that? And you got that, and you got that, and you got that. Then you got all these nuclear reactors everywhere that you cannot maintain. We always just assume it's going to be a nuclear weapon. What if it's just a regular weapon that hit a nuclear spot? Which is what keeps happening in Ukraine, by the way. They keep fighting right near a nuclear plant. And all of the people of the UN keep trying to get involved, saying, y'all stop doing this. They're shooting missiles past the nuclear plant. Go ahead, brother.
You know, Ellie, you just mentioned about the Iraq, the old Babylon. And we just read where it says, you that sit on many waters. If you look at Iraq, it's not sitting on any water.
No.
It's surrounded by other countries.
Right.
And if you look at America itself, then you see the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Gulf of Mexico, and all these other things that surround it.
Very good point, brother. Go ahead.
Verse 27, set up you a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Ararat, Menai, and Ashkenaz, appoint a captain against her, cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars.
Now, you got to pause for a second. It says that when it comes down to Babylon, raise up the kingdoms of Ararat, Mini, and Ashkenaz. And of course, one should jump right out at you. Wait a minute. Ashkenaz is going to come against Babylon? Wait a minute. The majority of the people who say they are Jews say that they are Ashkenazites. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Now, so could some of this then be a setup where you're constantly, because several times we have been, America that is, almost pulled into a war by the actions of Ashkenaz. Because if you deal with where Ashkenaz is originally, that's Germany. Okay? So if you go back to, okay, where is Ashkenaz if in ancient times it's Germany? But that makes sense, right? Since the people were pulled out of Germany and put. So if you go back to Ashkenaz, it is in Germany. Those people make up the majority of the people in Israel are Ashkenazi Jews by their own, admission. So then when it says that these kingdoms are going to come against her, this is very interesting because there are laws here that you can't speak against Ashkenaz. I mean, Jewish people. There are laws that says you can't boycott Ashkenaz. How did those laws get placed here in this country? And then there are enormous amounts of money and weaponry that are being sent to Ashkenaz. But it says Ashkenaz is going to be one of the ones that are going to come against Babylon. We're talking about the great Babylon. And when you look at some of these other places, Ararat and Mini, you're talking about Armenia. Well, start looking at, wait a minute, now you're talking about a coalition of people there together. Now, keep in mind, the daughter of Babylon is also still fueling and paying for a war against the Medes. And it just so happened to be, one of Ashkenaz's cousins who is getting paid to have that conflict. So things start to get interesting when you put those little pieces together. Keep going.
Prepare against her the nations with the kings of the Medes.
Here we go. Right away, pull that back. And then they are in line with Ashkenaz. Now that's interesting. Go ahead.
The captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble and sorrow, for every purpose of Yahweh shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without an inhabitant. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight.
Wait a minute, they have forborne to fight. Now, and that's just not like Babylon. They pride themselves on their military. They pride themselves on their power, right? But who the one nation they won't fight?
Russia.
No, not Russia. No. Ashkenaz.
Oh.
Who the only country who has bombed a U.S. tanker and the U.S. didn't do nothing about it? Who's the only country? Israel. And everybody knows who did it. Everybody knows that they knew it was American and they bombed it and they did nothing. No other country comes close. He said they are forborne to fight. It's like they got a program. You watch those movies and the evil overlord program the person and they can't kill that one. They can kill everybody, but when they get ready to try to kill him, they can't do it. Yeah, it's something. They are forborne to fight. They will not retaliate. You have lost. Now, this for the same reason. Now, other countries do something. It's a full-fledged war if any other country does that. You talk to some of those old Gentiles who made it off that ship and see if they kiss up to that nation the way everybody else does. Oh, they were horrified. They almost went down in the war. Some of them had to jump from one ship to another to stay alive. No other place has even raised their eyebrow to come out. Think about the talk that is said. Biden had no problem getting up. If Russia thinking about it, they better not do it. Then you got a country this big whom you gave the weapons to, and they shot down your boat. They shot down your tanker. They sunk your battleship. And you didn't do anything. You have to look at something right here. I want you to go to Jeremiah chapter 50. I'll start at verse 43.
The king of Babylon has heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. But I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man, that I may appoint over her? For who is like me? And who will appoint me the time? and who is that shepherd that will stand before me?
Mm-hmm.
Therefore hear you the counsel of Yahweh that he has taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he has proposed against the land of Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out.
The least of the flock shall draw them out. Wait a minute. These little bitty countries gonna draw Babylon out. Wait a minute. How you draw out? Wait a minute. She already spending billions to deal with two little bitty countries. Okay? Zelensky done drew her out on one side. She dumping billions on that one. Netanyahu, Ashkenaz, done drew her out, spending billions on that side. What happened if she's attacked by the Medes? What does she have available for her own defense? Go ahead, Mother.
Well, I was just going to say, before you left the other, we were talking about Ashkenaz, Ararat, and Mini. And if you look up the kingdom of Mini, you come up with northwestern Iran. Mm-hmm. And of course, we know for a fact that Iran is in the news right now. In August of this year, Iran is talking about, and you hear the U.S. and Israel saying that Iran will likely strike and attack them for all of the things that they've been doing, that they are protesting against. So things are really hotter than what people know.
Right.
We see Mini and Ararat, and we don't know that they're ancient kingdoms, but these are kingdoms that are presently in the news today.
Right. And one of those, they ended up shooting the one of their prime leaders. Oh, it is no doubt going to be. They are bracing for a retaliation from Iran. Israel executed one of their top leaders. That's not going to fly. It is most definitely going to be something that's going to come from that. And what happens we go day by day, like, hey, everything was all right yesterday, so everything's going to be okay tomorrow. We don't consider that, hey, it may be something that's going to completely change everything right around the corner a week from now. All we can think about is what we have in front of us, and with what's happening, they're saying point blank, there is going to be a retaliation. They are mounting up for the retaliation. Mm-hmm. But how does the game go? You do something to them, let them attack, then claim foul. Isn't that how we got into this? Because the Palestinians have been treated wrong for a very long time. But then when they react, their reaction is used to wage a full-scale attack. Full-scale attack. Because they are retaliating. So when, these other countries, this coalition, because now you got a good coalition of them that says, you know what? The only way you are doing this to us is because of Babylon. If we get rid of her, how much of this weaponry you going to keep getting? Then that means you got to get it directly from Britain then. So we need to keep some of this in our minds. I mean, we can't stop trying to progress in life, but we have to also have in the back of our minds that at any moment, all of the issues that are going on in the background may come to a head, and everything that we know is going to be altered. So that's all that we're going to do for tonight. Let's leave out with the prayer. We're going to rise and face the east. Abba Father, Most High Covenant, Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, we pray, Abba Father, that you would keep a hedge of protection about us, not just with the things that are going on daily, but we understand that there are prophecies that are written. We understand that there are prophecies that must come to pass. We understand that there are great changes that are going to be presented so that you can perform your act, your strange act, that you may be able to magnify your holy and honorable and righteous law, that you may be able to uphold your way of life that you have given unto us, and to show the world the people that you have chosen to represent you. We pray, Abba Father, that you would show us how to represent you in a holy and a righteous manner. We pray, Father, that you would put it in our hearts to be able to keep the culture that you have given unto us so that we can be righteous representations of you. We pray, Father, that you would forgive us of our sins. And we pray, Father, that we would have it in us to forgive those who we believe have sinned against us. We pray, Father, that you would give us even the understanding of sin so we know the difference between sinning against us and just doing something that we just did not like. We pray, Abba Father, that this hedge of protection stretches out to every one of our members near and far. We pray, Father, that you would count them as even being here with us presently at this moment. We ask these prayers in Yahshua HaMashiach's holy and divine name, to whom rule, power, honor, majesty, and might was given forever and ever. Amen and hallelujah.
Amen. Hallelujah.